practical pointers with oral answer and conducting pathways drawing and explanation of the picture. Not only you will draw, but also explain this picture. Explain every part of this receptor, neurons, where they have synapse, through what part of the brain they pass, what part of the internal capsule they transmit, and where in the cortex they are ended. All analyzer from receptor until cortical end you will not describe during this oral answer. That is why it is important to know all 5 parts of the brain. If you will not draw this part, for example, pain and temperature, today you have drawn. You don't draw maybe midbrain or pons, but you must orally explain from what part of the brain it passes. We'll continue. After mesencephalon, the rhombencephalon, posterior brain vesicle. Do you remember this? Free brain vesicle stage. Yes. Anterior brain prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and the posterior part is called rhombencephalon. Derivatives of this rhombencephalon today we'll describe. This rhombencephalon later differentiates, anterior divides in 2 parts, you know. And this rhombencephalon divides in mesencephalon and myelencephalon, 2 parts. This part is divided into first brain vesicle differentiates into mesencephalon, mesencephalon, which comprises what? Pons varoli, and cerebellum. The cerebellum. Together they form cerebellum. Together they form mesencephalon and myelencephalon. Myelencephalon. It has another synonyms. Medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. And the third name, oblongata. And the fifth name, medulla oblongata, like garlic or onion. The cerebral bulb it's called bulbus cerebri. There are all 3 names of last part of the brain. Myelencephalon, medulla oblongata, or bulbus cerebri. It is the same part of the brain which is developed from the 5th brain vesicle. And rhombencephalon have the common cavity, remnant of this primary brain vesicle, which is common for mesencephalon and myelencephalon. What is the 4th ventricle? The 4th ventricle is the cavity of mesencephalon, myelencephalon, derivatives of rhombencephalon. Do you understand? It is this ventricle is formed between pons, between cerebellum and medulla oblongata. The 4th ventricle. Now we'll explain as usually. External structure, internal structure. Open your atlas textbook and I will explain. The pons varoli. You know in English, pons, what does it mean? Ponte, Italian, ponte. Who is it? Ponte. Venice? Nobody. Ponte Rialto. Pons is bridge. It means bridge. Ponte, bridge. The famous Ponte Rialto in Venice. Pons is bridge. Why this part of the brain receives this interesting bridge? Between the cerebrum, between the cerebrum and here we have brainstem and here cerebellum. Between the cerebrum and cerebellum we have a direct tracts which connect cerebrum and cerebellum. This connection is achieved through the pons. We have corticopontine tract and then ponta cerebellum. This tract is absent. We have a direct connection. That is why pons is bridge between cortex cerebri and cortex of cerebellum. You understand why it is? Because we have corticopontine and pontocerebellar connection. Corticopontine and pontocerebellar connection. It is bridge between centers of the cerebrum and cerebellum. This part of the brain is called pons barolii. Anterior border on the base of the brain, on ventral side. It borders with what structures? From ventral side, it borders with the peduncles of the midbrain. Yes? Pedunculus cerebri, the peduncle of the brain. Pedunculus cerebri. Anterior border with pedunculus cerebri and fossa interpeduncularis, from which appear the first pair of the cranial nerves, and from lateral side lies trochlear nerve ground. This anterior border, posterior border of the pons with medulla oblongata, transverse fissure which separates from medulla oblongata. Lateral borders, as you can see from the pons arise from 5 to 8 pairs of the cranial nerves. 4 pairs of the cranial nerve, trigeminal, abducens, facialis, vestibulocochlearis. If you will connect this lateral side of rising of trigeminus and facialis from lateral side of the pons, this here arises trigeminal and below facial. If you connect these two nerves by the line, trigeminus and facialis, lateral border is linea trigeminal facialis, the line which connects facial and trigeminal nerve site of horizon. Linea trigemina facialis. This is lateral border, which continuation of these lateral parts. They are called middle cerebellar peduncle. This middle cerebellar peduncle. Cerebellum has 3 pair peduncles. Pedunculum cerebellaris medii, through which pass fibers connecting pons with cerebellum. Pontocerebellar fibers which give this transverse shape of the fibers from external surface of the pons. You can see transverse passing fibers. What fibers pass? They from cortex come to the pons, and from pons then continues through the middle cerebellar peduncles into the cerebellum. This lateral border of the pons from the ventral side. The old name of this, it is more nice name, but in accordance with Baselian nomenclature, you know, we give by Parisian more modern nomenclature, nomina anatomica. It is more modern, but old nomenclature, old name of these lateral parts, they are called brachia pontis, like hands of the pons. Right? This pons, 2 hands, brachia pontis, but middle cerebellar peduncles. In accordance with old name, Baselian nomenclature name, it is called brachia pontis. Dorsal part, if you will turn this ventral side of the pons, yes? If you will turn this preparation of the brain, from dorsal side the pons is not visible. Why? It is covered by cerebellum. You can see this dorsal part only after cutting of the middle peduncle, superior peduncle, venum medullare superior, after removing of the cerebellum. You can see the dorsal part of the pons, which participates in formation of upper triangle of rhomboid fossa. On sagittal section of the brainstem, this pedunculus cerebri, this pons, and this medulla oblongata. And behind here, we have cerebellum line. What cavity we receive here? The 4th ventricle. Here lies the 4th ventricle. What shape has the 4th ventricle? Like pent, pent shape. Ventriculus quartus is formed by dorsal part of the pons and dorsal part of the medulla oblongata. They together form the floor. This is floor, this is roof of the fourth ventricle, on sagittal section. But on horizontal, this floor has shape of rhomboid fossa, rhomboid shape. This is rhomboid fossa. Upper part is formed by pons, lower part by medulla oblongata. And the roof here lies cerebellum. And cerebellum, which lies here, connected with midbrain, tegmentum, frumis, pedunculus cerebellaris superior, between which we have velum medullaris superior. And inferior peduncles connect with medulla oblongata, between which lies pedunculus velum medullare inferior. This velum medullaris superior, upper part or rostralis of the roof, this is velum medullare inferior of the roof of the fourth ventricle. This dorsal part of the pons is formed by upper triangle of rhomboid fossa. This dorsal part, it is represented by upper triangle of rhomboid fossa. Do you understand this? Ventral part is prominent bridge, cylindrical structure, which is prominent and formed white color, this bulb. In the center of the pons lies sulcus basilaris. You remember two vertebral artery, which supply the brain. They join together and form arteria basilaris. In this sulcus basilaris, in the center of the pons, lies arteria basilaris, which gives cerebroposterior artery participating in Willis arterial circle. Sulcus basilaris pontris. This is ventral, prominent part, and this is dorsal part of the pons. Simple structure it has, external simple structure. But more complicated, difficult internal structure. Can you answer me, on what part of the skull lies pons and medulla oblongata? Do you understand? In the skull, what part of the base of the skull, what name has this part of the skull? Occipital, which connecting with sphenoid bone. What they together form this? Glebus. Do you remember? Glebus. It lies on the glebus. On the glebus, it lies on the glebus of the occipital and sphenoid bone. This brainstem lies on the glebus, obliquely. This ventral part, this dorsal part of the pons. Ventral part of the pons, dorsal part of the pons. And what pairs of the cranial nerves from 5 to 8 arise from the pons? It is external stem structure. Do you understand? Now, transverse section through the pons. We'll draw on transverse section what we can see on transverse section. Ну, это минуту взял, да? We'll draw the internal structure of the pons. Она, понимаешь, не мешает. Transverse section. What is this?
Sulcus.
Sulcus basilaris, yes. Sulcus basilaris, you understand? And below here will be what cavity? The full ventricle here lies behind. This is dorsal part, the floor of the rhomboid fossa. Floor of the full ventricle, rhomboid fossa upper part. This is ventral part, sulcus basilaris. And what is it? Middle cerebellar peduncle on transverse section. Inside we have nuclei of the cranial nerves, yes? Gray matter, white matter. We'll describe at first. Nucleus cochlearis dorsalis, two nuclei, and nucleus cochlearis ventralis. nucleus cochlearis dorsalis, nucleus cochlearis ventralis. Of course, they are on both sides. What pair of the cranial nerves? This is 8th pair, vestibulocochlear nerve. But also here, schematically draw one red color, one another parasympathetic nucleus. And you can draw here from 5th to 8th. Pair of the cranial nerves, nuclei, we can find here. I will draw from one side. Motor, sensory, vegetative, color and heaven. Here lie the different type of nuclei of what pair? From 5th to 8th. Among these nuclei, 2 nucleus will describe. Nucleus cochlearis dorsalis ventralis. Later, when we will describe internal ear, labyrinth, you know that in the labyrinth we have cochlea. In the cochlea, the labyrinth, we have modiolus, we have organ of Corti, spiral lamina, and cochlear duct, inside of which lie organ of Corti, receptors of the organ of hearing analyzer. And here inside the cochlear spiral canal lies cochlear first neuron. These neurons, axons, come and through porus acousticus internus, vestibulocochlear nerve form, 8 pair, which comes and ended on this nuclei. Later, we'll describe the first neuron of this vestibular and cochlear analyzer, hearing analyzer, lies in the labyrinth. There are second neurons on which come these fibers. Inside the pons, cochlearis dorsalis and ventralis nuclei axons pass differently. Dorsal neurons axons, they pass on the floor of the rhomboid fossa, on the surface of the rhomboid fossa, then pass inside and go to the opposite side. The ventral nuclei axons directly go to the opposite side. And here are also these 2 nuclei. They are called nucleus dorsalis corporis trapezoidei, nucleus ventralis corporis trapezoidei. From the dorsal come nucleus dorsalis, ended on this, and after this pass on opposite side. From the ventral fibers, this come on this neuron and go opposite side. Thus, in the center of the pons is formed so-called body, corpus trapezoidum, trapezoid body, trapezoidum, corpus trapezoidum. It is formed by axons of cochlearis dorsalis, cochlearis ventralis, and dorsal and ventral nuclei of corporis trapezoidea. All these neurons, axons, they cross in the center of the pons and divide pons into 2 parts. What parts? Usually, anterior part is called basis pontis. Posterior part is called, in brainstem, all anterior part of midbrain, basis pedunculi cerebri. Posterior part is called tegmentum. This part is tegmentum. Tegmentum is covering part. Tegment, roof. Tegmentum, this is tegmentum. This is basis. What structure divides? Trapezoid body. In the center of the pons, we have trapezoid body. This trapezoid body is part of hearing analyzer. The first neuron lies in the cochlea, second neuron here, and later this trapezoid body, it formed this arc-shaped bending and continues upward goes and ended in corpus geniculatum mediale. Later we'll study this analyzer. It goes and ended on neurons of corpus geniculatum mediale and inferior collicles. it is subcortical hearing center, from which impulse will go to the Hershey direct hearing analyzer.
Save it.
But it lies in the pons, that is why we describe now trapezoid body. We will return to this trapezoid body, which is continuous so-called structure, limniscus lateralis. It is limniscus lateralis. Sometimes trapezoid body is called the horizontal part of limniscus lateralis. It is vertical part. It is directly continuous in lateral limniscus, limniscus lateralis, or hearing limniscus, auditory limniscus. Limniscus, what does it mean? Limniscus in Latin. Loop. Because it's formed by crossing fibers, loop is formed. Hearing analyzer loop. Limniscus lateralis. It lies laterally from limniscus medialis, which we will describe today. In front of the pons, we have motor nuclei. Motor usually we draw by a red color. Motor nuclei. Nuclei pontis. The proper pontine nuclei. Nuclei pontis. On these nuclei pontis, from the brain cortex, come, vertically come, fibers. They are called corticopontine. From frontal lobe, from occipital, from temporal, differently. Corticopontine fibers. They what direction have? Longitudinal direction. That is why on transverse section they have shape of this bundle. Fibrae pontis longitudinalis they are called. Fibrae pontis longitudinalis. These fibers are called fibrae pontis longitudinalis. What tracts form this fibrae longitudinal? Corticopontine, tractus corticopontineus, and tractus pyramidalis. The pyramidal tracts, corticospinalis and corticonuclearis. Pyramidalis formed by pyramidalis, which is formed by corticonuclear and corticospinal tract. It will become more clear next after next corticospinalis. Longitudinal fibers transit pass through the pons. Through the pons, they pass in front of the pons, inside, to the pyramids of the medulla oblongata, to the spinal cord. They are called corticospinal, corticonuclear, corticopontine, and corticonuclear ended on the motor neurons of 5, 6, 7 cranial nerves. They form these longitudinal fibers. Only corticopontine fibers, which are ended on these nuclei pontis, they, after synapsin, which come from the cortex and synapsin, after synapsin, they pass to the opposite side, axons of the cells, nuclei pontis cells, axon. From this side go to this opposite, from this vice versa, they go this side. That is why on external surface of the pons we have this transverse fibers, shape of the fibers. What name they have? Fibrae pontis transversa. What name? It is shape of the fibers, but what tract passes? From pons it goes to the cerebellum. Tractus ponta cerebellaris. Do you remember the function of the cerebellaris? Function of the pons, we have a direct connection, cortex cerebri, cortex cerebelli. Porta pontineus, ponta corticopontineus, ponta cerebellaris. Through the middle peduncle, they go to the end on the nuclei of the cerebellum. This is base. The base of the pons consists of nuclei pontis and transverse longitudinal fibers. Conducting pathways. Dorsal part of the dorsal part. Just a minute, I will ask blue color.